Please help me welcome our fifth speaker. Janice LaQuire, The Game of Life. The Game of Life, Janice LaQuire.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Game of Life. Spin the spinner. Draw a card. Congratulations, your uncle has left you a worm farm. Collect $10,000. Madam Chair, ladies and gentlemen, how many of you secretly dream of inheriting a legacy? How many of you have considered the legacy that you're creating? I'm here to challenge your perspective of life. Legacy equals investing in future events. When most of us consider a legacy, we consider what we leave behind. Old clothes, false teeth, muddy footprints. But a true legacy is creating a foundation for others to build on. It begins with a dream, is supported by a noble cause, and is carried out with a plan of action. In 1919, 8-year-old Joseph stepped off the ship onto Ellis Island. He was seasick from weeks of travel. He would never get on another ship. He was the youngest of 4 children. His family had come to America to escape the war-torn poverty of their native country, Belgium. None of them could speak the language. For the next 9 years, they worked the sugar beet fields as immigrant laborers in Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio. In 1928, they settled in Detroit, and sadly, shortly later that same year, Joseph's father passed away. Just 2 weeks before Joseph's 18th birthday, when a young man looks forward to the future with all the hopes and dreams that young men have at that age, the stock market crashed. The Great Depression had begun. For the next 14 years, Joseph's life was on hold. No job, no opportunity, no money. If he had thought of leaving a legacy, it was as impossible as stumbling over a bucket of gold at the end of the rainbow. When he did find work, it was picking weeds out of the Fisher estate in Grosse Pointe for 10 cents an hour. That's about $3.50 in today's money. He would bring that money home and hand it to his mother. In 1941, America entered World War II, and this reignited Detroit's manufacturing. Joseph got his citizenship and a job. In 1944, after a brief 3-month courtship, he married Ruth Waring. You cannot imagine 2 people from such dissimilar walks of life. He was a European Catholic, a Belgian immigrant, a manual laborer who was from the big city. She was 9 years his junior, a Baptist of belief, from a small southern town, fresh off the northbound train. But they loved each other and were committed to each other, and history would prove that they would make a great team. Joseph was my grandfather, and my grandfather had a dream. My grandfather was a job setter at General Motors. He hated every minute of it. The hour-long commute to Willow Run 2 times a day. The air so saturated with grease that it would condensate on the wax paper of his egg salad sandwiches. The long, hot, air-conditioned free summer days in the factory. But through his labor, he discovered a noble cause. His desire was not just to provide for his family, or even to save for retirement. His noble cause was to save his family out of, quote, the slavery of the shop. My grandmother supported him. She took in laundry and she cleaned banquet halls. They were 2 of the most unselfish people I have ever met. They didn't waste money on themselves. They didn't waste money on their children either. Instead of howdy-doody cap guns, they bought accordions and lessons and made sure their boys practiced. 15 years later, as retirement grandparents took all of their life savings and invested it in a music store for their two teenage accordionist sons to operate. The seed planted and grew. A few years later, they sold the music business, and the remaining real estate became investment property. It was through this seed that they bought their children's freedom. Freedom from a 9-to-5 job. Freedom to spend time with their family. Freedom to be able to help others. At 32, my grandfather had nothing except a dream, a noble cause, and a plan of action. Just 30 years later, he owned a shopping center, 3 houses, and 2 music stores, debt-free. He died in 1999, a wealthy man. He had money, he had property, he had family, and he had a life, a legacy that was invested in future events, a foundation that his children and grandchildren could build on, because he had a dream, a noble cause, and a plan of action.